Hey, this is Derek, and I'm here with Zach Norman, who is a music producer, singer-songwriter out of Nashville, Tennessee. Actually, you've been kind of out of a lot of different places: Atlanta, LA, and now Nashville. So,
Yes.
exciting to have you on the show, Zach, because you're doing some really groundbreaking stuff with your NFT collection. And it's called the ZZN Collection, which is an interesting kind of mashup of digital goods, music video, music, art, high-end artwork, vinyl, actual physical goods with vinyl and clothing and other elements. So, yeah. So, Zach, welcome to the show. And tell me a little bit about the ZZN Collection.
Yes, the ZZN Collection, man, thank you so much for having me. I'm so, super stoked that we're getting to talk about all this stuff, that we've been talking about for over a year,
Right.
And it's just super exciting with ZZN Collection. It's just wild because I had no idea that I would have the opportunity to finally present all of these ideas that I feel like have just been incubating for many years, and definitely been trying to refine my craft in every respect. And it's a very, very, I guess, unconventional, unique journey that I'm very thankful for, because I feel like ZZN Collection really, it really captures everything that I see and that I feel and that I hear, and it gets to house everything that I feel like that God has put, in my heart and in my mind and in my being, and so really ZZN Collection it's a collection of music, art, and design. And so, it really 5 years ago started with me asking the question, I've been doing music for 5 years, vocationally. I've been doing live stuff. I've been hustling, I've been coaching people, and
you've been getting song placements in different movies and things like that too. So
right.
Yeah.
So, before I started producing music, I was just, very beginning stages, really scrappy, and I was like, man, but I'm doing all this stuff, basically for music, but I'm not able to create yet. And so that the first step was me learning how to produce, because that's always been a goal, and during that stage, that was around 2017, I as well was well, how can I make my music and get it out there as soon as possible? Producing was the first thing. And I was like, well, I need to get a brand around this. One of my friends told me, he was like, yeah, there's this artist in the UK who no one knows about, and he has his own merch line. And he provides for his family through his own merch line. So that's literally starting for that template is where I started for ZZN Collection. And I really have made so many prototypes that just haven't stuck, that I haven't really felt like are me, or that really ultimately tell I don't know, any meaningful story. So now we have ZZN Collection. It has it has my original music as an artist that I've produced myself. It also has fine art pieces, and it also has other aspects of design like clothing, and we're coming out with a cologne and other exciting things.
Now you've talked about including coffee as well. Is that coming? Is that part of the original? Is that part of the original collection, or is that coming down the line? Is that an add-on later?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be aspects of how it's incorporated. I haven't figured out quite yet, but the cologne we have had much more advancement on, for sure.
Oh, okay.
It's actually in production. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. So now you've actually got this NFT up for sale right now on OpenSea, right? You can go to OpenSea.io and just search for ZZN Collection, right?
So it's actually ZZN Collection 777 on OpenSea.
Okay. All right. Great. And then how long does the auction run? And what does it all include? If I buy an NFT of this, what do I get?
Yeah. So really, it's a big learning curve for me. There's a lot of people in this space that know so much about all the ins and outs of Web3 and the technology and stuff. And I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert on that side, but the biggest focus was just getting this out there. And so I'm super grateful for like you and the whole other team that I've had a part of this to do that, which has had its learning curves. And it's really simple. I mean, it's an NFT that has a visual and an audio component to it, And so we have like 3 different NFTs as a part of this first Wave collection so far. And so there are 3 different, like the first one, the highest tier, is called the Ocean Edition. And the Ocean Edition has, it's super dope. Like there's film that we had, ocean filmography, that we had out in Maui and LA that my friend Mo Martin. He's incredible. And, he did all of that. We got drone shots, we got underwater shots. Like it's really, really cool. And then there's, graphics, incorporating, some of the layers of Daniel's artwork. Daniel Allen Cohen, incredible visual artist friend of mine who we'll talk more about soon. And so yeah, it's really like each NFT has like the Ocean Edition has the ocean film, the periodic table has a periodic table and the vinyl. Then the last one just has the vinyl, so I was just trying to find ways of like peeling back and adding different layers of visual, and all of them have the song Wave.
Oh, okay, great. And then tell me a little bit about the Wave initiative, because this is also related to the NFT collection as well. Yeah.
So this is, in talking about layers, like this is the most significant layer that really wraps all of it. And I would say it's the biggest wave of all of them. And Wave initiative, a few years ago, I felt very, very drawn to create my own 501c3 nonprofit. And started down that journey as far as like what's, how can I actually create one that is, very engaging and fills real needs. I had no idea that in 2020 that, mental health needs would rise to the capacity that they did.
Right.
Prior to that, I already have such a, massive background with that in my family, in various ways. And that really, that is why I started Wave Initiative. And our mission is to join a wave of artists to cultivate health, wholeness, and wonder in the world. And so two really big ways to put that into practice that really achieve the goal of neuroplasticity is certified brain health coaching and artist development is the way we describe it. So there's going to be other pillars to Wave, and vision expands, and so that's really what we're focusing on, and is really the bedrock of everything else that we do, and that will eventually will go into stages of business development, financial planning, a lot of things that I've learned along my journey with incredible mentors of mine. And, then launching them as either ambassadors or just to launch their own ZZN collection. That's like the fruition of the vision, right? So, so yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you have some personal, I guess, you have a personal journey in terms of wellness, mental health.
Right.
And so that's kind of why you're feeling like, hey, I'd like to kind of bring this wholeness to artists of all kinds, right? And then have a nonprofit that's providing that wholeness to others as well, right?
Right. Like I said, really what ignited me learning things about this space beyond my experiences and things that I had witnessed and growing up is I landed at this conference where Dr. Caroline Leaf was speaking. This was back in 2014. And up until this point, I didn't know anything about the mental health space, and other than things that, feel much more antiquated and that are just, that are not as innovative as people like her, or Amen Clinics, or these other places, right? And so just heard her talk for 20 minutes, and I was just what just happened? Like, I mean, she was talking like so fast just to get in like the entry level information, and it blew my mind. And so I heard that talk, and that's what really like, you know, made me start asking more questions, dove into her book, and then, you know, here we are. So, you know, and what was the other part of the question as far as like the journey to it?
Yeah, just how you felt like, you know, you through your upbringing, you felt like you had some deficiencies, some obstacles to overcome, and then that's kind of what led you to creating the Wave initiative as a nonprofit.
Right. Yeah, and I would say too, like, you know, I was always scared growing up that I would inherit, you know, just like as if it was something irreversible, any of these, you know, sort of like, you know, deficiencies in brain health. And, you know, art is like, it's so powerful because it's not just like this immaterial, like non-tangible thing that somehow maybe it does or maybe it doesn't affect your mental health. Like it really has the power to put into practice neuroplasticity, you know? So like these people, they talk all about, you know, through brain spect imaging, for example, who, you know, Amen Clinics has, you know, revolutionized, not mental health care, but brain health care. You know, we need to destigmatize mental health and realize that these are, you know, things that we can solve through brain spect imaging. You're able to actually see the organ and see what's going on and see what an individual needs, which is much more effective. And so like, you know, that's amazing. And then you know, that's a whole rabbit trail. But then, you know, like I said, like exercising neuroplasticity, the act of creativity, our brains are like plastic, you know, so like they're like so malleable. And it's through what we direct our minds to that rewires our pathways towards the way that God created our brains, who God created us as, not who we have become by, you know, experiences that have unwired who we really are, you know. And the last thing I'll say about that is the whole reality of like, you know, I love what Dr. Caroline Leaf says, you know, we are made in the image of love. We are made, you know, by love, for love, and to love. And what that truth, you know, that played out into an individual's life is, I mean, the sky's the limit. Our mind and our brain has so much more potential. And, you know, through thought and through creating is the way that we can really unlock that potential.
So now how are you imagining that the NFT collection would help the nonprofit and then help you reach other artists? Like how do you see those things as linked?
Yeah. So with, you know, definitely the name of it, really like, you know, the song, me creating the song, a few years back, you know, when I wrote it, it was really me capturing this idea of like, before I got somewhere, like, like imagining and celebrating, right? And I was with my friend Pedro at the time when we started, which is how you and I met.
Yes.
I was with my friend Pedro, and you know, we were just in his living room, and we were just messing around with some ideas, and then I was like, we just hit a wave, and then he was like, dude, that's so sick, and it started off of that, and I just had this idea of like, you know, swirling around of, you know, like, you know, the idea of like, you know, imagination, right? Like visualizing, and faith, right? and celebrating and having a party. And so, anyways, it just started off really just like really simple like that, then built it out a little bit more. And then I had the whole concept of like, you know, like obviously you hear what I mentioned about Dr. Caroline Leaf and like we're waves of love, like you know, made in the image of love, like so that language wave kept on surfacing in my life, you know.
I see. Yeah, right.
And so then you know, then through a few years of a process, started making this nonprofit, and I was like, man, this could all be connected. Like this song could actually be like the campaign song for Wave, you know. And so felt really strongly from the concept of like sound waves and brain waves, and like, you know, like quantum physics waves, you know, like all of that. Really, I felt like, oh yeah, this is a no-brainer. Like this is going to be a campaign. And so it was funny because when I was initially thinking about, you know, like the nonprofit and how to like, you know, put this into practice, like ZZN Collection was not a separate entity yet. And so I was thinking about the song and I was thinking about the nonprofit and just an organic experience of what I felt was happening inside of me and what I wanted to, you know, like bring to fruition, you know, for other people. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, let's do this. And then other things started forming to make ZZN Collection a possibility. And then it's like, oh, wow. Like I'm starting ZZN Collection and we're doing these NFT releases and we're doing it with a song. And then, wow, like I can have a for-profit that actually is like partnering so closely together with my nonprofit. And we can actually, as a part of our fundraising strategy and our press release, we can start that conversation with the broad public, right? Yeah. And spread the message of Wave, you know? So really I have like, you know, this first release really, in so many dimensions, really shows what I envision for making these things partner so closely, you know, be their own separate entities. But, you know, our next release even has the Wave Collotion. We should make lotion too. But like, you know, we even have the Wave Cologne. You know, I've already started I've already started curating that scent, you know, so that's already in production. And so, you know, I'm trying to find like intentional storytelling pieces for every release of ZZN Collection to incorporate the story of Wave. Cause that's just personally what I want to do.
Yeah, and so, you know, like I said, you recently have been living in Nashville, but for quite a few years, like leading up to this, you were living in LA. Right. And while you were there, I love the story. I'll let you tell it, but I'll give the teaser. So you just happened to walk into a coffee shop one day and
a chiropractor.
Oh, it's a chiropractor. Okay, I thought it was a coffee shop. Okay, don't remember. Started with a C. And you met a guy named Daniel Allen Cohen.
Right.
And so tell me who he is, and our listeners who he is, and how you guys have now collaborated.
Yeah, so ZZN Collection is a new thing, but Daniel Allen Cohen, this is addictive, isn't it? So a lot of people know him for his periodic table of addiction, periodic table of drugs, which is this massive display of those things, you know, by form of visual art pieces, right? And so you have all these different elements that are, you know, 19 by 19 three-dimensional framed pieces that are like stacked up next to each other, you know, is the ultimate vision of it, which when you see the whole install is like super sick, you know? So that's a little bit, you know, that's what we've incorporated into this release. So before that, Daniel and I guess it was in 2020, we just, you know, we were at this chiropractor. Shout out to Tanya Reynolds. What is it? Innate Love Wellness. And So, my family and I, we were going there for a while, and, Daniel and I had, bumped into each other a number of times, and then we just started talking. He was like, I think my kids did something funny, like, and, we were doing stretches with these different things, and he's like, dude, like, how old are your kids? And it really just started with that, just like a, conversation. And then we saw each other all the time. I saw he started having some of his custom pieces being put in the office there for Tanya. And we got together. I reached out to him. I was like, man, like, if you need anything from music, let me know. Then I shot him like a folder of songs, and then that's how it really started back in, I guess it was the September 2020. I produced a track for his commercial for the Benjamin bread sculpture.
Right.
And which was fun. And yeah, we just had a lot of fun. We started going out to lunch, and we even had, conversations about all this stuff, like, which was even, I feel like, even just a formative piece for me, as far as just like observing, what's going on inside of myself, but also other people, right? And the people that I'm connecting with, and engaging in these discussions of, like, brain health and well, I mean, we met at a chiropractor, so like we already had this, like, just surface level, like, oh, cool, like, we're here, obviously to be more well, like, more healthy, right? And so, we just started talking about, like, brain health and stuff, and Daniel is just, like, I just love his mindset about everything. Like, and I feel like looking at his artwork and the periodic table of addiction, and like reading through it, I love the sense of humor, intelligence, and wit. Like, so, we had a lot of discussions around that, and so we just, kept on having a friendship, and then it turned into other projects, and then fast forward, like, I don't know, something like a year later in 21, stepped into NFTs with him. So first NFT project, which was the Cloud9 collaboration, and he had a series of NFTs, and I did one of those. And so that was great, got, featured in some great places like Forbes, and it sold out, like, really quickly. So I produced music for that, and that's how I get introduced to NFTs. And so then it started whetting my appetite, and led towards ZZN and the Wave collection.
Yeah, because you guys, not only had you done that, but you also had displayed stuff in the LAX airport with,
right.
He had a series of video loops that you produced music for. Very, very cool, like, really amazing video loop stuff that you guys had at an install in LAX.
Right. So we presented that project. That's for his other brand called Feeney's Photo. And so we presented that at the Hollywood Infinity Festival, as well as the LA Art Show. And yes, recently he just had his periodic table of addiction installed in LAX Delta Sky Lounge, which is amazing.
Yeah, great. Well, and I think you guys have been talking about collaborating more, potentially, right, in the future for either Delta or other, airports and airlines and things like that.
Yeah, so that's something that I've been personally taking on since we had some of those advancements, like, and also my dad's he's a captain at Delta. So Delta, if you hear this.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
So I reached out to them personally, and I'm just throwing that out there. But but yeah, like, we're friends, and we've done a lot of stuff together. So.
Yeah. Cool. So so the ZZN collection is this mashup, of Zach's music, the Wave single, the periodic table, customized from Daniel Allen Cohen for the Wave initiative, and so it kind of has these fun, I guess, like pillars of what you stand for with the Wave initiative.
Yep.
And then you also have, I think you talked about having some vinyl with this as well. Is that in process, or is that now like just part? Because I know that if you get the NFT,
Right.
you get like a video of vinyl playing within the periodic table graphic, which is a kind of a very cool kind of touch.
Right.
It's going to make it super unique. So, and for those for those who are out there who are Daniel Allen Cohen fans, like this is a very cool take, like mashup, and I love that. I feel like this is how NFTs are going to be really special, is when you have different artists coming together and creating a one-time shot, right? Like this is a one-time collab with the periodic table, with the Wave initiative, and so what other elements are included with the NFT?
Yes, we definitely want the vinyl records to be a physical component. I think that really, that really encapsulates what I want to do with every part of the collection is having a dimension of, real life experience of the NFT or some sort of aspect of the NFT, right? And
so rarity in the physical world as well as rarity in the digital world.
Right. So there's a lot of development, on that end as far as like what it takes to produce all of these things, whether that's virtual or, especially real things, right? So we're in the beginning stages, and so there's definitely like down the line, like as we keep on moving forward, I'm just excited about all of these things becoming real, and so the vinyl records, I put that in one of my songs, it's a part of my story, like vinyl records with my mom, and one of my songs that I put out in Web 2,
right.
I talk about, vinyl records and when Daniel and I first started talking about my own collaboration, I was like, dude, I want to do something with like frames and vinyl records, and like I want to sell the vinyl records. And so that was a vision before the NFTs were even a thing, right? So we've already captured, the records in, these extremely limited, art pieces, right? There's only 3 of them. I'm only selling 2 of them. I already sold the first one. But then as far as like, I know you asked about the vinyl records. Yes. And that kind of goes into the broad concept of like, hey, I have spinning vinyl records in the NFT, and that was an intentional choice because I always want to like show things that I want people to experience in their fullest, and I don't just want people to have, a virtual version of it, right? So there will be like a whole vinyl collection, eventually with all the songs.
And what about the clothing too? Because you're doing some clothing pieces too. Yeah.
So like really all of these things, ZZN Collection it really started with me thinking of, while I was like locked in, a basement during the pandemic, like, thinking of like, hey, when I like build out my studio more, and how do I want to make the aesthetic? And like, I've always just like, I guess naturally like been a designer. Like that's something that people like keep on telling me, and that I'm just like discovering, and so originally ZZN Collection was like, I'm going to have like a studio and a gallery, right? And so I'm going to have a physical space that is like, and so I started mood boarding all this stuff, like these art pieces, and, some of the interior design and, the actual records, and then, the actual like other product, the clothing, and treating everything as art. Treating everything as art, and to where everything, whether it's virtually or physically, it's presented as a gallery. So like even if you go on my website, you'll see on the ZZN Collection website, you'll see that it doesn't say store or shop, it says gallery, right? And the way that it's laid out, like, I even had photos like for the shirts and the sweatpants and all that stuff, and the hoodies, like to where I had like normal like storefront product shots that were just isolated to the pieces, folded different ways, and just like, you know, in suspended in space, right? And then I was like, man, this doesn't capture the vision. Like I have all these amazing shots, and now, you know, they're on the site to where it's like how I wanted to capture all this in the first place, you know, like all of this is meant to be a gallery. So we have, you know, when I was talking to Anthony, who did the photography for the collection, and Anthony Hudson Photography, he's out in San Francisco Bay Area. He's incredible. I mean, the dude's like, he's my age, he's or 29, you know, and the dude's eye and his like attention for detail, and just like, I mean, he captured the landscape. That's why I chose him, because he just extracts like such a beautiful aesthetic. And so, you know, like I was saying, like I wanted to capture like not just a piece of clothing, right? And we even did some shots and some that will surface later in more of the next releases, but that are in like interior environments, right? But like I just kept on coming back to in whether it's social media or website, or like eventually, you know, we're going to release NFTs, me and Anthony, of these shots of the clothing. I wanted to, and I just kept on connecting with everything that related to that art piece of the clothing, and it's like position on the rack, like with the backdrop of nature, right? With the backdrop of a beautiful landscape. And so I feel like it's like with everything, I just naturally am feeling like drawn towards these like more than one dimension, right? Yeah. More than like one piece of, you know, that's displayed in the NFTs, that's displayed in, you know, how we presented the clothing of the collection. It's all meant to be in like really experienced in like, wow, that's really amazing clothing. That's beautiful. That's really nice. But like also fitting into a larger story that speaks for itself.
Right. Well, and I remember when we first met, Zach, I mean, like we were talking music and you were thinking, hey, music artists and things. But as I learned more about you and your talents and things, I realized like, dude, you're a designer. Like you're straight up like not just music producer, songwriter, which you're amazing at, but then you're also a designer. You're very conscious of all these different things, and like you said, the different dimensions. And so it's cool to see how you're taking all of this, right, and taking all these different facets and creating this ZZN collection to stand more for than just the music. But you'll appreciate the music too, right? And you're gonna get all this other depth to everything that you're touching, and it's really, really cool to see. And it's cool to see how like the NFTs open that world for you, where it's like, okay, now you have the song, you have downloadable content in the video, you've got the periodic table, you've got the cologne, you've got the you know, the clothing, and so it's all part of, you know, who you are and what you stand for in the art that you're creating.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. So Zach, how do we find you? Like, well, first of all, tell us again where to find the NFT collection. OpenSea.io.
OpenSea.io /ZZN Collection 777.
Okay. Perfect.
You know, we have the website as well, where you can see every dimension of the collection, ZZNcollection.com. Okay. As well.
And then where do people find you on social media?
So on all handles, it's ZZN Collection, Twitter, Instagram, everything, you know.
Okay, great. Okay, Zach. Well, you know, we're going to be interested in finding out how this all goes, and we'll get an update, I think, maybe in a few more months, and like how, you know, how things are developing, and maybe more things on the table with you and Daniel Allen Cohen for more collections coming up as well. So, yeah, thanks for being on Make a Fun Island, the business of creativity. And we'll talk to you next time, Zach.
Thank you. Thank you, Derek.